because again, we fall into these habits. It's like, oh, we'll do it next month. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later, and then you look up and you haven't talked about it, and it has festered. It's been planted and it's growing roots and it's taken over and it's feeding into other areas of your marriage. And, you really have to be in check with that because, I know I've talked to some couples and it's some things that go on that they never discuss. And so there's this big elephant in the room and they don't talk about it.
Hey fam, what's up, baby? This is Kev and
Tanya.
Yeah, man. So we here with another episode of Couples Connect. And man, we got my peeps in the building today, man. We got none other than Mr. Jonathan and Tanya Irvin in the building. What's up, fam? What's up, baby?
Hey, how are you all guys doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
We have
Yeah,
another
good.
Tanya.
Yeah, I got two Tanyas in the building.
It's trouble in the room.
Hey, man. So, man, it's so good to finally get you guys, man, on the couch, man, and come and chop it up with us. We've been trying to connect with you guys for a little bit now, and you guys are busy, as we were talking about just now, got kids stuff going on and taking a lot of your time. But welcome to Couples Connect, people. Y'all made it.
Thank you so much
Y'all
for
made
having
it.
us. We're so glad to be here. So glad to finally connect with some other couples. We love what you guys are doing and have had some great episodes. So we're just happy to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Well, Jay, how you feeling, man? You all right?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah, feeling good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, hey, man. Let's get into
Y'all
it,
looking
man.
Nice.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I see a little coordination.
We
you know what I'm saying?
tried.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Go ahead.
I call that Sunday's best when y'all, coordinate the way y'all be doing.
We try to bring it. You know what I'm saying?
It's so funny because every couple that come, they are coordinated with some kind of way.
Wow. And when I tell you we had to get dressed in 5 minutes, so we was just like snatching and we just came out like, oh.
They got
Yeah.
She got the sinks co-ons.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say he do too, but I ain't gonna. Who that? No doubt. But man, hey man, super excited that you guys are finally on Couples Connect with us, man. Let's kind of chop it up. As we mentioned just now, man, the whole purpose of what we do here at Couples Connect is we want to inspire and help other couples, right?
Yeah.
And I think the main thing how we do that is we share our stories, of things we went through. Like you guys just mentioned, been married, 16 years, right? Together for 22 years, right? So, man, you've had to go through some things, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Had to go through some things that can actually help maybe some younger couples or even some couples who been in the game for a while, or maybe just hadn't experienced some of the things you've experienced yet, or who has experienced, or maybe who's going through it right now. And you can be like, hey, we didn't been there, we done that, or we going through it right now.
Yeah.
And we making it, we surviving.
Absolutely.
So we try to encourage other couples through other people's testimonies, right? So
Absolutely.
anyway, so man, tell us a little bit real quick. How long y'all been married again? 20
We've been married 16 years, but we've been together for about 22 years.
kids,
2 kids. Our oldest is 22 and our youngest will be 15 tomorrow.
Saints fans.
Negative.
That was all the way.
Listen,
Oh.
run them off the couch.
Hey man, I should have run them off now since I'm a Cowgirls fan. We'll have to start putting that in the questionnaire, girl. You a Cowgirl fan? Let me know. But man, let's talk about it, man. So I think we kind of we sent you guys a little document. We normally like to see what couples. What are you comfortable about talking about? What do you want to share with the people? And I think you guys kind of chose that financial piece, right? And how that works. We don't really know the back end of it, if it's from what standpoint that you guys want to kind of expound on the whole money piece. But let's get into it. What is it more of some challenges maybe that you guys have to deal with in the money piece? Because I know there's also an opportunity in the past where we talk about a couple where the wife was making more money and that presented some challenges. From what perspective is finances? How has that affect you guys in any kind of way?
Well, finances have played such a I believe it plays a major impact in most marriages, right? Sure. And it's a really tricky thing. And if you don't check it, it will definitely check you. So Early in our marriage, I was making more money than Jonathan. Fortunately, he was, mature enough and man enough, I guess, where it was never an issue, but I didn't make it an issue either. So we definitely had to, work through some things. I think that the way you are raised and your history plays a big part in, how you view finances, right? I came from a working class family. I had a sister. Our parents didn't teach us much about money. We learned you go to work, you make money, you pay bills, you try to save a little bit, you give to the church, and you other than that, there was no conversations about retirement and no conversations about investments and things like that. Whereas Jonathan was raised, he's an only child. His parents are business owners. So, the money was a little different, right? Simple things like when we used to go to the movies, when we started early in our marriage, me growing up, we went to the little convenience store to get our snacks. You know what I'm saying? And that was my norm. So when we got together, he was like, "No, you got to go. We're gonna buy it in the theater." I was like, "What?" So
I mean, but to put it my way, specifically in our family, money wasn't an issue. And don't get me wrong, even though money wasn't an issue, we worked all the time. We were like workaholics, so the way we viewed money and everything was entirely different. It's just like the way she deals with money and the way I deal with money. I deal with money, hey, let's budget, let's put money back, let's make sure that, if anything happens, we'll be ready. And I like to deal in positions, It's just like playing pool, right? It's just like playing pool. When you play pool, you play to put yourself in a particular position so you'll be able to shoot the next ball, the next ball, the next ball, and the next ball. Yeah. Okay, and so mentally, that's the way I go at things. But again, nothing quite goes that route. And the reason why I say that, because when you're dealing with somebody else that has a different view, then it's like a tug of war. She's going one way, I'm going the other way. And no matter what she says or no matter what I said, there has to be a common ground. And to me, that's what was so difficult, particularly in our relationship, just coming to a common ground, and still we deal with that even today.
Yeah.
And I think in most marriages, it has to take you anywhere from 10 to 15 years, maybe take 20. Yeah, it still takes us a long time.
It does. It takes time, and there are ebbs and flows. When you have children, your finances change. When children start going to college, your finances change. Those of us, I've been a sports parent, I'm a volleyball mom, track mom. We know those club fees and travel and all that, they can impact your finances. So, we've definitely had some rough conversations when it comes to the priority, right? What's important, what is going to be taken care of first versus what can wait. And that's probably where we bump heads most often, right? And we really have to sit down. I know for a good part of our marriage, Jonathan felt like it was all on him because, I was like, hey, we married, you got it. Give me my little piece and let me run into the sunset. I didn't want to look at anything. I didn't want to be any part of any of those conversations. I wanted to be free of it because prior to being married, I lived on my own. I had a house, I had bills. So it was it could be challenging at times doing those things by yourself. So when we got married, I quickly shifted all of those things to him, and it worked for a little bit, right? But then I learned that he was beginning to feel, like he was on this boat by himself, and that, I didn't have anything to say unless there was a problem. And so that we had to work through those communication conflicts, because I didn't want to worry about it. I knew I just wanted to go shopping. I wanted to go on my Amazon. I wanted to, go out to eat brunch with my girls. And as long as I could do these things, everything was fine, and not really taking into account the stress that he may be experiencing behind the scenes. Whereas he's a spreadsheet man. He is a spreadsheet man. He is a spreadsheet man. And so when he comes out of that office and says, coming for a minute. Coming for a minute. I feel like a kid all over again, like I'm going to the principal's office.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also, when a person does the bills, I say me. I say me. I'm not going to put anybody in the same pool or anything like that. That I do a lot of sacrificing. And it's a lot of things that I don't tell her, okay, I'm taking away from me, you know, the things that I want to do. I just want to make sure y'all okay. You know, if y'all okay, I'm fine, you know. But a lot of times I don't tell her because I'm not trying to, you know, blow things up, or I'm not trying to put her in a situation where she has to worry, you know. But I often find that a lot of times you actually have to have those conversations. And that was hard for me to do, because in my mind, I feel like I'm the man, you know. I said, I just have to make it work. But a lot of times, you know, when you do that, it may not be the route you want to take, you know, because she has to know what you're dealing with. She has to know what you're trying to, you know, what you're trying to do, and how much money you're trying to put back, and where the money is being allocated. She has to know, you know, just in case something happens or whatever, you know, she has to pick up where you left off, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what I find, you know, that was very difficult.
So tell me this. So was the challenge more of you making more money, or was it the challenge of the actual budgeting and knowing where money's going and stuff like that?
It was the budgeting.
Well, yeah, initially, you know, when we first got married, to be honest with you, you know, I came from that old school, you know, where, oh man, I got to make more money than my wife, you know. But once I moved in, and, you know, we got to get, you know, we really, you know, kicked off our, you know, marriage and stuff like that, you know, it wasn't such a big deal. And she didn't make it a big deal. Had she made it a big deal, it probably would have been a big deal to me, you know. But later on, you know, once you know, my career kicked off, you know, and I started making more money, it wasn't a big deal because she didn't make it a big deal. But later on, it became, you know, just budgeting, you know, and making sure that we're on the right page. And if we're not on the right page, of course, things are going to get very chaotic, you know. And that's what we were dealing with, and that's what we still deal with from time to time. But we were able to work through it because we've been there, you know, in the experience and the maturity that came along with it. Right. Yeah.
The budgeting has always been a thing, because again, we go back to the priorities. Like, things that are a priority to me is not always a priority to him, you know. So having to meet halfway, you know, because he could eat the same thing for 22 days and be fine. I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to the weekends. I want to go out. I mean, I want to go out to eat. I want to.
On the other side of it, I see so many times I've heard, right, and I can understand how a lot of people are still sitting in the same situation you guys are sitting in right now, where one don't want to deal with it, and maybe one is, you know, locked in.
Yeah.
But it's very frustrating. I feel your pain. We go back and forth. She just passed it on to me, the bills, because I used to do them back in the day, and she took them for, I don't know, about a year now, maybe.
Oh no,
it's been a year.
It's been
a couple of years.
5, 6, 7.
That you was doing it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
but like,
I don't think it's been that long.
I've been doing it so. But I think, like, first let me say this too. It's been that long, baby.
Okay.
You know what? I don't think it's really money. I think it's the emotion behind money that causes rifts and stuff. Because if you think about it, money is just paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And it's something that we spend, but it's the emotions behind the money and how we want to spend it.
Yeah.
You may want to spend it on Amazon. You may want to save it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And money is just going to be money, but it's just like you guys getting on the same page with budgeting. You're coming, you know, you're understanding now what that stress feels like to you. So you're now trying to make it work with your money.
Right.
But it's an emotional thing.
It is.
Just like it is for me too.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very emotional too if you don't have a lot of it. And the bills coming in, right?
Exactly.
And think about this. If things go bad, who do everybody look to? They look to the person that handles the money. Yeah. And for me, you know, my wife, she'll say, well, okay, what are we going to do? Like, what happened to money? What can we do? You know?
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, and that's my logic. But her logic, hey, you know, you're going to have to make something happen. That's because we got about a week or a week and a half to payday. So we're going to be in trouble if you don't find anything. So it puts me in a position that I don't like to be in,
Yeah.
And so, and that's what I truly had to get over to her. I said, I don't like being in this position. I wasn't in this position when when we were single. I had money in my pocket. I could wine and dine you, and we had a good time.
Right.
I said, now, it's real.
It's different.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, because I think we've gone to several like marriage conferences and all these things through the years, and there's typically a spender and a saver. It just is usually that way. Jonathan has typically always been the saver. I've always been the spender, and so that just it's like I said, it ebbs and flows, and I think both are necessary, right? Like he's learned since we've been married to enjoy life. Earlier in our marriage, Jonathan didn't take vacations. He didn't take days off. He didn't go anywhere. He didn't do anything. We eat at home. And I was like, well, no, that's not what we're doing. We're going to enjoy life. We're going to, experience some things together, and we're going to travel some. We're going to enjoy life, because there's more to life than just working. And so once he got a taste of that, he's like, oh, I kind of like this, And so, even in that regard, like, it's a mutual thing, Another thing is we have a very strong, marriage group that we've been a part of for since 2016.
What church I go to?
We were going to a church in DeSoto, but the group that we met there, they no longer go to that church, but we all have just remained connected over the years. So at least once a month we get together for Bible study, and we've gone on trips together, retreats, and it's been a blessing to have that marriage community. So anytime that we are struggling with some different things, we've always had a secure base that we could go to and just say, hey guys, check me. Am I wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong? And so that has definitely been a blessing in our marriage as well.
That's good.
Because sometimes you hit a roadblock, because he can be stubborn, I can be stubborn. And so sometimes when you get in a room with other married people who truly believe in marriage, who truly are God-fearing married couples, they can definitely be a strong support system for you to fight through those battles, because sometimes it is like a brick wall. Sometimes I'm sure he feels like he's talking to a brick wall, and I know I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall sometimes. So, we definitely have learned the importance of fueling our marriage by going to marriage conferences and, being a part of marriage ministries and connecting with other God-fearing married people. And it's definitely been a game changer for us. And that's important. And it's a blessing to have that community of people who you can talk to just about anything and be, and you're safe. It's rare, and we're blessed to have it. So they have definitely been a source of support as well. We read books, we do all the things. We try to anyway, because we know that it's just like a plant. Marriage is like a plant. You have to nurture it. You have to water it. It needs sun. You can't just put it in a corner and forget about it. You have to nurture it. And that nurturing comes from lots of prayer and, just us being intentional about our marriage, and finances and in every area, as well as, connecting with other people, doing things like this. It's all fuel for our marriage and for me and for him and for us to just grow and be better people so that we can be better people for each other,
That's good, man. So, have y'all shared this very thing with some of the other couples that you guys connect with? And what are their feedback to you guys on?
Just the kind of the same thing. It's always interesting to see how other couples handle finances. Just how they, some people, of course you have a wide variety of, financial situations, so it's always good to hear how different people handle their finances. I learn something new all the time. There are some couples who don't share anything, and I got my money over here and I got my money over here. You don't have access to mine. You don't have access to mine. And we just dump a little in the middle and don't ask any questions. That's not healthy.
Do we ever try 2 separate accounts? Or was it always
just about tried everything? Yeah. We tried it all. What has worked best for us? I mean, there's no hidden secret, nothing. Yeah. But we have a joint account, and then he has his own and I have my own, but we're aware of what's in everything, right? But that way it's like, this is for the bills or the expenses, and we don't touch that. That's just for that. And then he has his and I have mine. So it's not a lot of, because we've done everything. We've done it all, and I used to get calls, oh, you swiped the card for $10? Okay, what did you do? And I was like, okay, well, this is not gonna work,
Right.
So, we tried just about everything. I think the system we have now pretty much works. And as you know, you go through seasons in your marriage where sometimes money is great. And when money is great, we don't have these, the conversations are not as tense. But in those times when the money is not as great, or there's some, unexpected expenses, then, the conversations become a little bit more tense. So, we're trying to be intentional about it no matter what season we're in, because we've experienced all seasons. We've experienced seasons where we were doing wonderful and great, and we've experienced seasons where it was like, how we get here, But we thank God we worked through them all, and we will continue to work through them all. We don't know what the future holds. I have a friend whose husband has a terminal disease. He can't work. And so, she reminds me all the time, like, you're just one chronic illness away from not being able to work. Then what do you do? So you just never know what the future holds, and we try to remain equipped and prayed up to be able to handle whatever it is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Jonathan, how was that frustration for you, man? Knowing that, hey, you're trying to save, you're trying to plan for the future, and Tanya over there, she, she waiting on Prime Day and waiting for Black Friday and all that. she just waiting. So what was that frustration like for you?
Man, it was definitely frustrating. Again, when a person does the bills, when a person, looks at, the the low end and the high spectrum, and looks at everything from, look at the big picture, and also see, the future and all. It was very frustrating for me, and a lot of times it didn't seem like we were on the same page, or we were never going to get on the same page. But it also seemed like we were constantly talking about the same thing. I said, hey, we just talked about this 6 months ago. I said, now we back in the same position we were 6 months ago. I said, it doesn't make any sense to me, I said, so we're going to have to, we're going to have to be a little bit more intentional, which is very hard, because for me, I'm going to be intentional all the time. But with her, it's going to be a little different. And so I had to try to figure out, okay, should we do the allowance thing? Okay? So I said, well, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go ahead and do the allowance? I said, I don't want to make it seem like, I'm controlling your life. I said, and I don't want to make it seem like, that, I'm not letting you do this and I'm not letting you do that. I said, but we're going to have to peel back and sort of control some of control the narrative. I said, otherwise, I said, we're gonna be broke just about half the time, and maybe the majority of the time, And so, and surprisingly, she was okay with that, And so I told her, I said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And so in most cases, it has worked. Most cases, it has worked. She didn't cry about it. But the only thing that,
so he knows it took time, like, okay, hey, we can go out to eat, but maybe not Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for breakfast and lunch. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we had to have those conversations, and it's definitely been, I don't want to tug of war came to mind, but it hasn't been a battle, but it's just been uncomfortable conversations at times, because, I know what I want and he knows what he wants. And it's just, a challenge, and to kind of meet in the middle sometime.
Yeah.
I know you say something that I know a lot of couples are probably dealing with, when you said, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know what's going on. Here's my money. I'm putting it in the bank. You put it together. Do what you got to do with it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Just give me my little bit.
Give me my money.
Give me my money. Let me go on about my business. But that's so unhealthy.
It is. It is
very unhealthy in a marriage.
It is.
Especially, because that can lead to bedroom problems.
Oh yeah.
That can lead to resentment.
Absolutely.
That can lead to, like you said, if something happens and that person don't know nothing about what's going on, you're left in a dark place. So how? And thank you for saying that, because I think a lot of couples are struggling with that. So how are you guys getting on the same page with that? I know you mentioned budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just, a lot of it, I guess it was 50-50, but a lot of it was me because I was the one who was like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Just give me my allowance or give me whatever I can play with and you do the rest, right? But I saw the burden that it was for him, right? And it did cause issues in just about every area because he feels the stress where I don't feel the stress. All I know is I can go get my nails done, I can go get my hair done, I can go to brunch, I can put gas in my car, I can get groceries, I can do all these things. But in the meantime, he's looking at the spreadsheet and he's stressed, right? And then I'm wondering why he's in a bad mood, or I'm wondering why, he got a little attitude with me or whatever. So I had to make a conscious decision to have these meetings. And it's been, we own it 1 month and the next month we fall off or whatever. But I've really tried to make a conscious decision because that's part of his love language, is for me to come into the office, sit in front of the computer, look at the red and the green, look at the columns. He likes me to see the new formulas that he made. He likes to see he gets excited about it. Okay. So I just learned that this is part of his love language, So I have to appreciate him in that aspect. And once I really sat down, because he would always say, well, when you swipe the card, I was like, I just went to Walmart and I just bought, and he's like, well, the 20 and the 30 and the $50, they add up. And until I truly looked at it, I'm like, oh, my bad, because next thing you know, it's $400 and $500 and you don't really think about that, and it's not to say that those things can't happen sometime, but we just have to budget for them. Like, if this is what you need to do, and like I said, different things come up month to month, my son's birthday is tomorrow. Well, what are we going to do for his birthday? Well, that's usually going to be an additional expense that we got to talk about and discuss and say, okay, this is kind of what we're thinking and this is what we want to do and whether we do it or not. But there's some discussion there as opposed to the assumptions all the time. And I think it was really me having to just meet him halfway because he was doing the work. He was doing the spreadsheets. He was doing the the grunt work behind the scenes. And I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to check the account online.
Why, Tanya? Why you didn't want to look at it?
I think because, it's like, what if it ain't what I want to see? You know what I'm saying? Real talk. You know what I mean? It's like, then I feel like, like before we got married, again, I had to look at it. I had to figure it out. I had to, play puzzle pieces with the bill sometimes. I had to do those things. And so when we got married, it was like, boom, he my peace, right?
My savior.
Boom.
Wow.
And so, but sometimes we don't realize the stress that causes, right? And we're a team and we're together. And, I had to really, understand that because now, mind you, it was not long before he surpassed me in income, but even when he did and continued to do so, it was even worse because I'm like, oh, babe, we good now. We good now, but, I still need to be a part of those conversations. The same way I want him to hear me when I'm dealing with things on my job or dealing with things with the kids or dealing with what we're going to eat for dinner every day or whatever. If I want him to be a part of those conversations, then I have to give that, reciprocate that and give him that same respect and have the conversations about the finances, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's going to call me to the square and like, yeah, you see this? Okay. Dun, 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 dun. You hit Amazon about 10 times this month. Can we cut it down to maybe 5, So because I don't realize that some things just become habits. They're bad habits. And it bleeds into unhealthy things in your marriage. And those unhealthy things can definitely just breed. It's like a cancer, because those things can bleed over into other areas of your life and in your marriage. And, you don't want to get to a point where it becomes too difficult to fix.
Yeah, for sure.
And I always look at it, like this. My mom passed in 2008, and my mom was that business person. She was unconventional. If I compared her to a lot of mothers, she was just so different. She made things happen. She was able to do so many things within a short period of time. And she was so used to doing everything, nobody knew what she did, And so when she passed away, everything was in a limbo, So we had to find, we had to figure out me and my pops, we had to figure out a lot of stuff, the taxes. I used to tell her, I used to go over there with a spreadsheet. I said, okay, look at all the papers, see the pattern, see what she went through. Once I did that, I was able to put everything together, say, okay, we can do everything within an hour, within 30 minutes doing a spreadsheet. But what I found out is that she didn't tell Dad. She didn't really tell me. She was used to doing it herself. And looking at her life, she was the oldest child. And the oldest child takes care of everything. She makes sure she takes, do the bills. She makes sure she takes care of big sister. She did all of that, So that was normal to her, So, and I just don't want to end up in the same situation where, I do everything, and if something happens to me, she knows nothing. I don't want to put her in that situation. I want her to pick up where I left off, And again, I don't care, about her doing the bills. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is her being able to pick up where I left off, so that she doesn't have to look for somebody else or look for, a particular, her mom or sister, or, just anybody to pick up where I left off. She can just go ahead and do it herself, because that's what we worked hard for.
This episode of Couples Connect is sponsored by Just Like You Hair Care System. Introducing Just Like You Hair Care, the perfect solution for healthy, growing, moisturized hair. Our hair growth oil is enriched with essential oils like calendula, lavender, rose petals, also enriched with nourishing jojoba oil, promoting growth, reducing breakage, and restoring scalp health. Follow with our moisturizing leave-in cream to lock in hydration for smooth, manageable hair all day long. So you get to feel confident with thicker, stronger, and deeply moisturized hair. Our products are made with all natural ingredients and is designed for women or anyone who want a holistic approach to hair wellness. Shop today and experience the transformation. Just like you hair care, your hair, your confidence, and your journey. The link is in the show notes. Now back to the episode.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you ever take over the bills? Do y'all switch sometimes?
I suggested that, but I would be honest with you. I didn't get the sort of response that I was looking for, And again, I think she would do it, but it'll probably be something that I would have to really, really push on her. Again. Yeah. That's.
I mean, no. Has it ever happened? No. But I will say that I would say in the last couple of years, I have definitely been more intentional about. And it's so crazy because I always said I didn't want to be that kind of wife because I used to hear about those wives, their husband passed and they just didn't have a clue about anything. And I was like, oh, I'll never be that. But these are the habits that lead to that, right? Mm-hmm. So I just was like, okay, so I literally, every time, at least once a month, we sit in there and we have a heart-to-heart and I see, oh, the light bill was more than it was last month. Whereas for years, I didn't know, didn't care. As long as I flipped the switch and it come on, we good. So, and, just different ways. This is how I pay this. This is where I keep the passwords for this, so we're having more of those conversations in the event that something like that does happen. But I continue to work on that, right? It's not near perfection at all. Again, I go through my moments where it's like, okay, it's a new year or, it's last quarter of the month. I have those kind of checkpoints, but I have to be a little bit more consistent in those intermittent points. And really be focused about, the end goal. The end goal. We have some goals that we've discussed for 2025. And, sometimes I like to see things right here. Like we've talked about the goals. We know what those goals are. We know what we want to do, where we want to be. But then it's prom day. You know what I'm saying? So I have to practice restraint. I lose focus quick. I can lose focus quick, or I get hungry and I want to go eat, and I forget we said we wasn't gonna eat out. So I have to really, 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 really focus because I battle with that. I battle with, like I'm supposed to be happy, and you only live once, and so I really have to work through those moments, because I know that is how he feels seen. That's part of how he feels heard, is to know that, hey, we've had these discussions and you hear me and you're respecting it and you're trying. I see you at least trying, so we do have those comments like, I did good last one, didn't I? He'll say, okay, yeah, you did good. You did better,
Has it ever caused any arguments?
Oh God,
you guys
yes.
have been like,
Definitely arguments. Nothing too bad where we haven't been able to get back from, but definitely some arguments have been had over the years about money. And that's why when I asked, I was like, what did you tell me we were going to talk about? He said money. I said, really? I said, okay, Lord, it's you, oh God, because it is definitely one of those things that, it's just been a source of conversation, or sometimes a source of disagreements. It's not like this evil, bad thing. It really has not been that way the whole time. It's just been something that we continue to have to work on and evolve. Other things just have come easier. It's just, it comes easy. The conversations come easy. We can kind of look at each other and know what the other is thinking. But with the money, it's like, well, I thought you said, well, no, so we have to really, truly lock eyes and have those verbal conversations about it.
Money can ruin a relationship.
It absolutely
It really can. And just because of just knowing that it can literally send someone into just wanting a divorce.
Oh, absolutely.
It's worth the fight for it. It's worth the change, right? To push and say, hey, I know that's something I'm not used to doing, but because of the sake of my marriage, and the peace in my house, I'm gonna do this. We're gonna make it happen, right?
Right.
When you get married, two become one. So it's like you're united in this thing, and to where it's like we're in this thing together, right?
Yes.
But
that happened, as far as in a negative sense, is the fact that sometimes when she's done spending all her money, she said, how much we have in an account? I said, I need to get this and I need to get that. I said, babe, you spent all. I said, well, I had to get my nails done. I had to do this. And she gives me a whole list of things.
yeah,
I said, was it important? She said, yes, to me it was. I said, what? But here's the thing. She passed that to her daughter. And her daughter's just about to say it. But you know what? And I told you about 6 months. I said, man, I said, Missy, I said, y'all just about the same. I said, but her now, I said, she's probably 10 times you right now, because she loves to spend, she'll go to, she'll go to the Dominican Republic. She do all these trips right now. And I'm like, I wasn't able to do that when I was, 16, 17 years old or 21 and 22. I wasn't able to do that, And so now, I talk to her a little bit more about life, and, without, trying to criticize her, without trying to make her feel bad. I say, hey, I say, I don't mind you doing some of those things. I said, but you have to take priority into priority in everything you do. I said, you just can't do things just because somebody asks you, okay, let's go to the Dominican Republic. You're going to have to say, well, hey, are there other things that are more priority than this? And if you don't check yourself, you're going to always be in a situation where you're asking us for money. And I know you don't want to ask us for money. That's because you're going to get lip every time you do it. I said, so the best thing to do, think it out before you do it, Yeah. And that's all I'm asking. Even now, and it's kind of crazy. My son, he's just like me. He loves to save money. That's just amazing to me. How kids pick up one parent and other kids pick up the other parent. And that's just amazing to me. Yeah.
So are things better now with finances? And you mentioned that that's the system you guys are using right now, and that's pretty much you guys both have your own personal account. Sometimes Tanya, when she run out, she says she's trying to go into the reserve account.
Yeah, she's trying to go into the reserve account. And the thing about my wife is she comes up with all these different scenarios. it's almost like she creates a story of her own. You know, she said, well, we can do this, we can do this, and we can do this. I said, we have, 1,500, 1,600 left. I said, baby, it's not going to end up the way you think it is. I said, because idealistic, yes, ideal, yeah. But realistically, it won't happen that way because, again, other things come up, and you may want to get this, you may want to get that, or, something might happen where we have to put the car in the shop. There's a totally different deal. So, I said, ideally, yes, it sounds good, it tastes good, but it's bad.
Yeah, Jonathan is always going to operate in the what ifs, and I appreciate that, right? Because what ifs do happen. And we've just learned that it's never a good time for the what ifs to happen, but they happen. And so, I think I've gotten a little bit better in this area. Okay. It is. But it definitely has been a tug of war, but I also think that for me, I had to identify, like you asked him, what does that frustration feel like? He has not always been a great communicator. So I would have to pick up on that. Like, you good? Like he would always say, yes, good. Oh no, we got it. And that's why because he rarely told me no, so if a yes is a yes, right? But I didn't know that yes had all this doubt and worry attached to it. He was just giving me the yes. And so. Because
he wanted to please his bride.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted to see me happy.
He wanted to see you happy.
He didn't, and so if it's, I was not carrying the load that he was carrying. All I heard was the yes. All I felt was the yes, and I got to do whatever it is that I wanted to do. But I had to be a little bit more empathetic and, just kind of tune into him more and understand, like, oh well, he's stressed. Well, why is he stressed? Well, okay, and everybody who knows Jonathan, the first thing they think about is money because he just is that guy. He's the money guy. He's, every time we say, y'all want to go? And they be like, okay, ask Jonathan, see what he say. Because it's always going to be, okay, how much is that? He's always been that person, always. And so, I know that that's important to him. So again, whether times are great, and whether times are not so great, he still wants that same energy. He still wants me to check in and see, how are you doing? How does it look? Let's go look at the spreadsheet. Even though I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. But, I know that is really, truly his love language. The same way I love when he goes and washes the dishes and I don't ask him. Like, oh, I like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to say anything. You just saw there were dishes in the sink. I'm tired. I've cooked. And he just does it. I love that part, right? So he taps into that. He recognizes, hey, she's cooked. I'm going to wash the dishes. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to do it. And he does that. He does it often. So the same way that he recognizes that and he taps into that, I have to recognize that and I have to tap into that on the financial side of things and not always assume. Like, he would always, for a while I was like, oh, you cooked, you gonna clean, I'm going to go watch TV, watch the game, whatever. And I'm frustrated and I'm irritated because I'm like, I work every day and I've come home and I've cooked and now I'm cleaning and and he recognizes that. So he's grown and I've grown. And so there are different areas in your marriage that, you just learn like, hey, we have to step into these uncomfortable areas, right? He's not a cook, he'll grill, but he's not the person that say, I cook dinner for us. He might go out and buy it or, say, hey, let's go out to eat tonight. I know you're tired, but that doesn't bother me. I don't care that he does not cook dinner for me. It doesn't bother me, but he's also not the type of person that's like, I want my meal and I want it now. He's like, hey, you tired? Let's just go grab something. It's fine. Or I eat the chicken again. It's fine. You know what I mean? So he taps into that part of me and he recognizes, hey, you're tired. You've had a long day. I know you've been stressed. I'm not going to even ask you what we're eating. I'm just going to go figure it out. I'm going to make it work. So I don't always have to verbalize, I'm tired. Can you cook? Can you clean? He just does it. And so I have to do the same thing for him. And so, it's just a conscious awareness. You have to constantly make yourself aware of that because we fall into these habits and we just think we assume that they're okay and they assume that we're okay. And then sometimes depending on the type of communication you have, you may not communicate like you should. And then it festers and then there's a huge blow up. And we've been there too.
So on that note, you talk about communication. Have you guys ever said to yourselves, okay, we need to be intentional about self-development, about growth,
Absolutely.
and how are we going to do this? Has there been a moment where somebody was growing faster than the other, or growing? Sometimes you know when you've grown, outgrown each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because you start looking at your spouse a little different. And they start looking at you a little different. Too. Have y'all had that situation to happen?
I think, yeah. I think there have been moments in our marriage where, you know, in different areas, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there have been times when I said, well, you don't know that yet? Like, you don't know do that yet? You know, but that's not at the top of his list, whereas it's top of mind. So we always try to, you know, tap in and think, okay, I know one of the things that we talked about in our marriage group one time was love languages and loving your spouse in their love language, not in yours, right? Like, you know, acts of service might be my love language, but it may not be his. So I cannot expect him to enjoy those things like I enjoy those things, right? But it's hard to do that because we know what we like. And so we typically give what we like or what we enjoy. And so we have to be intentional. So yes, but by the same token, when it comes to finance, he's like, why are we still having these conversations? You know, why are you not getting it? Why are you not, you know, why are we not growing beyond this? But it takes a personal, conscious decision, and I have to be intentional about it, right? Because again, we fall into these habits. It's like, oh, we'll do it next month. We'll talk about it later, you know. And then you look up and you haven't talked about it, you know. And it has festered. It's been planted and it's growing roots, and it's taken over, and it's feeding into other areas of your marriage. And you know, you really have to be in check with that because, you know, I know I've talked to some couples, and it's some things that go on that they never discuss. And so there's this big elephant in the room, and they don't talk about it. And it's like we're pretending, and we're years together, and we're pretending. And you know, sometimes those conversations are hard, right? When he has to come and tell me, like, you know, hey, we've been talking about this forever. Like, why you keep making the same? Why you keep doing this? Like, we talked about it last month. We talked about it the month before. And you say you want this, but you're making these decisions that don't align with what we've agreed on. And so I have to, he checks me, and I, you know, but by the same token, when it comes to, you know, household chores or, you know, just household chores, we'll just say that, you know, and I'm like, you see these dishes in the sink, or you see these clothes right here. And, you know, so we go back and forth about that. So, you know, you do think that once you get to a certain level in marriage, you think, oh, you're just supposed to know. And you don't. You still have to have those conversations. You still have to. But I also see the growth in the way we respond to each other, right? You know, he knows when to talk to me and when not. So if I'm hungry, we're not talking right now. You know, if he's hungry, if he is watching a game, if, you know, just different things, that's not the right time to talk to him about some things. You know, I know when it's a good time. So I think that comes with maturity and growth too. Not always being like, well, I want to talk about it now. Now this is when I want to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it. It may not be the best time to talk about it because you may not get the response that you want. So, you know, the more you try to work on yourself, the better spouse you are to the better spouse you are to your spouse, you know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's a lot of financial infidelity in marriages. I knew a person who she confided in me, and she was telling me that she have to check her mailbox every day before her husband gets home because she had credit cards that he knew nothing about. So she had, like, I ain't talking about 1, 2, 3 credit cards. She had a whole bunch of them. They were like store credit cards that she had to, you know, check them out. That's like living like that every day.
Yeah.
It's
exhausting.
But I think those are people who like to keep up with the Joneses, you know, spending money that they don't have.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then social media.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you go on social media and you see people living their lives to their fullest or whatever. And that can cause sometimes insecurity in you when you aren't able to do that. And I know a lot of people probably won't ever admit to that. Especially when you ask somebody, you know, are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? Like, I know for us, we're very frugal. Like, I spend, but I'm the spender, but
What? Speak, baby. Let him use you. Let the Lord use you right now.
I'm the spender, but I spend on food, right? Like I'm not a big shopper for myself or anything like that. But have any of you, fell into that, trying to keep up with the Joneses because this person have that, they go on a vacation. I want to do it. I'm mad at you because I can't do it. Have y'all experienced any of that?
Okay. I don't think it's been extreme. I know when everybody that she knew was moving into a bigger house. Yeah, that's the only time that I truly saw it from our perspective. And she was like, well, everybody else is moving into a bigger house. When are we going to move into a bigger house? It took us probably 3 or 4 more years to decide to move into a bigger house. And, I would always tell her, I said, we're not ready yet. I say, let's just wait. Let's just
look at the spreadsheet.
Yeah, look at the spreadsheet. Let's look at the projection first. And then we'll make that decision later on down the road. Of course, that's hard when she's seeing everybody move on, and to her it seems like we stuck in one position. Then it doesn't feel good to her. It's almost like, we got to step up our game. I said, well, right now, we gotta, slow down, try to collect a little bit more money, put some more funds in our bank and make sure that we can do it. I said, because if we step into this position, I said, we're pretty much stuck. We're going to have to make it work. I said, and right now, I want to make sure that we're okay. I want to make sure that we can do the things that we can do as a family and still be happy. And if I can't see that, I'm not gonna make that jump. And that was hard. That was really hard for her to envision, But that's the only time that I truly saw our relationship where she was trying to keep up with the Joneses. Yeah. But to her, it may be totally different.
But is that really keeping up with the Joneses? Yeah. Though? That's really not. Yeah. That's like, because I can identify if someone that we're friends with, we're connected with, and they're moving on and doing some things that we would love to do. Even though for us it was more, it was a little frustrated maybe because we wasn't at that point yet. Right? It was something that we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But I feel like keeping up with the Joneses is different. Right. Keeping up with the Joneses is something that takes you outside of your character. Right. And you're doing stuff that you really know you probably shouldn't be doing. Right. Yeah. That's trying to keep up with the Joneses when you don't even have the means to do so. Right. True. But just feeling a certain kind of way a little bit about like, hey man, I want to move on too. Yeah. I want to I want a new house. That's not really keeping up with the Joneses. I think that's just a human feeling of wanting to progress. And just what happened, your friends or people that you're connected to are moving on. But I think that's where for me, that's where the worldly perspective comes in compared to a godly perspective. Yeah. Because if we're looking from a worldly perspective, that's a fleshy thing. Right. We're fleshly wanting to move on and keep on. And when we're looking at that, it's a little bit of a little pinch of jealousy, a little pinch of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even idolizing of the situation. But when you look at it from a godly perspective, you know that, you know what I'm saying, when my time is my time. Right. And it's sometimes my time is not God's timing. That's right. Right. So it's a perspective thing. When you look at it from a godly perspective, I'm gonna cheer you on. I'm like, girl, you doing it. Y'all killing it, man. Look, the Urbans, they didn't move to a bigger house. They're moving on up like George and Wheezy. Man, congratulations. I'm gonna encourage you. I'm gonna applaud you, right? Yeah. Knowing that my time will come. Yeah. Right. And I'm content and happy in that. And I'm happy for you guys, genuinely. Right. Not just saying it just to say it. I'm genuinely happy and excited for you guys moving on because I know that one day when my time comes, God will make it happen. Exactly. Right. So it's just a different perspective. Right. So the whole Joneses thing is something different, though, don't you? Yeah.
I don't think I think you're absolutely right, and I think that played a part in it. Right. I think we lose focus. on, you know, God's timing versus our timing. Because when we sit back and look at it now, we're like, oh my God, we bought the house at the perfect time, and it went smoothly because we were selling the house and buying the house at the same time. So it went smooth, you know, and we knew that it was a God thing. God showed himself strong in many steps in that process. And so we knew, you know, that when it was time, it was just going to be our time. It just gets frustrating, right? Because when we got married, I thought, we're about to blow up. Let's move, you know, whereas it did not happen as quickly as I wanted it to happen. But everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. You know, one thing that, you know, and you are so right about social media, because I you know, I've never acted on it, but there have been times, you know, like, oh, I want to go to Dominican. I want to go to where they going? Yeah, I want to go. Ooh, that's pretty. You know, so you do get caught up in those things. But the more you live and the more you mature and the more you talk to other people, you know that everything on social media is not what it appears to be, you know. And those vacations come with arguments, and you think people are in love and they are at each other's throat, and, you know, they just fade away and disappear off of social media. And you're like, what happened? And they're not together anymore. So, you know, the longer you're, you know, just maturity, right? So none of that phases me anymore, you know, and it hasn't for some time, because, you know, my thing is, you know, even when we moved into a bigger house, I was like, oh, I could sweep and mop my floor in 20 minutes. Now it takes some time. You know what I mean? It's a lot more floor. It's a lot more carpet to vacuum. It's a lot more things to clean. So, you know, a large house is great when it's great, but when it's time to clean, or when it's time to decorate, or when it's time to do whatever, it requires a lot more things. So there's a downside to everything, right? You know, so I've just learned that, you know, we walk in our neighborhood, we look at these big, beautiful houses, and I think, man, you know, you never know the problems that lie beneath the door. And I tell him that all the time. Like, it's beautiful, but can you imagine what their light bill is? You know, can you imagine what their water bill is? You know, those are types of things that you think about.
Can you imagine what that mortgage is?
Right. Especially as our taxes go up every single year, you know, so it's just like, you know, now we want to downsize. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we really don't need the stairs. I'm tired of going up the stairs, you know? So it's just like, you know, the older you get, the more you realize the less you need, or the less you thought you needed to make it and be happy, you know?
This is Ecclesiastes.
That's real.
He talks about happiness and how we try to find happiness in everything. Money, vacations, other people, whatever it is. And we never have enough. Never. And we just keep wanting more. And he says that we are chasing after the wind. But the way to truly be happy is to be happy with God.
That's it. And that's all you need.
And you start, like you said, you start realizing that. Like, now we want to downsize.
Yeah.
You know, like this house is not making me happy.
Yeah.
You know,
and you realize that really what you want is peace, and really what you want is health, and really what you want is slow, easy mornings, soft life, you know. So it's like the things, you know, all the material things, they do not mean as much at all, you know. I don't get excited about fancy cars, big houses. You know, I want to be safe. I want to be secure. I want to be respected by my neighbors. I want to feel safe in my home. You know, those are things that are more valuable to me than what my home looks like, or how many square feet I have, or any of those things. So it's just interesting how your perspective changes. Whereas when I was in my 20s, I wanted the house, I wanted the car, I knew where I wanted to live. You know, you had all this list of things. Whereas now the money cannot buy the things that are most important to me.
It can't, right?
They're priceless.
Girl, so true. Because like right now, you know, same situation, right? We in this house and we can't wait to downsize. But I remember going and looking at that house and we was like, man, we couldn't wait to get in it.
Yeah.
Like, now we in it. And we like, man, I can't wait to just go into a flat. You know, something a little smaller, right? And whatever. But in terms of like, as you get older, your perspective change. That is so true. Because I promise you, we've all been there. Exactly the same situation, wanting those things and really chasing those things for a minute. And now it's like, I think we're chasing purpose.
Absolutely.
Fulfillment, right? Yes. We're looking for health, right? Yeah. So the whole perspective is different. And I would prefer now, rather than living in a big house, a nice car, and having all the money in the world, I want to be fulfilled and knowing that I'm walking in the purpose
Absolutely.
that God has, for me in my life.
Absolutely.
And that's where I feel like, without a shadow of a doubt, that's what I'm chasing now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So perspective totally
Absolutely.
different. Totally
Absolutely.
different. So
Absolutely.
So tell me this, man. So money is a situation now where, Jay is like, hey, well, you know what? Let's go back. Even in the situation with, you feeling a certain way about money, Jay, like spreadsheet man, right? And did you ever have any like goals, financially goals? Because if he's the saver and, he's trying to save money, but you're the spender, right? Did you still have something in the back of your mind, like, where I want to save money? I want, to have retirement. I want all these things for long term. Were you really focused on long term, or was it more because you being a spender, or was it everything just kind of more short term, or you didn't even really think about it? You just
I
like,
always had long term, but to me, outside of retirement, that was it. And so retirement always worked. It came out my check. So I didn't even think about it. Still don't. It's like you take it off the top. It never reaches me. So, so it's like, okay, I don't think about that. But any other goals that we have, hey, we want to, get some more real estate. Hey, we want to, maybe get a new car or whatever. I just tell him, I'm like, this is my goal. This is what and we agree. Okay, that's what I want to do. And then, we work toward it. But yeah, I've always had goals. I knew what I wanted, but I just think that grind or that stress month to month to have to figure it out. I wanted him to like I'm putting all my money in the pot. I'm gonna let you divvy it up and figure out what we can, how to make it grow and stretch and all that.
Right.
So
right.
I've always had those goals. I've always, been aware of retirement. That's one thing my parents did talk to me about, retirement, so I've always had those accounts going and flowing and things like that. But I think it's just kind of in the back of my mind because, it comes out of my check. I don't have to physically put it to the side. It's already allocated before it even reaches me. So, I don't, it's not as in my face, whereas if we say, hey, we want to go on vacation, this is what we need to put back every month to go on this vacation, or, let's do without this for a couple of months so we can go on this vacation. Well, that's more of something that I have to really consider day to day, Yeah. But yeah, always have, will continue to have, and it's just about us communicating and being on the same page to reach those goals. Because for me, I can teach it. I'm an educator. I'm a counselor. I tell people all the time, hey, is what you're doing right now aligning with your goals? I tell people that all the time, but then when it's my turn, it's like, whatever, So I have to walk it like I talk it. Yeah.
No, I love it, man. So Jay, has she helped you with a little bit of that frustration now, man? Has things changed a little bit for you and working together, and since y'all got a system now? Yeah.
I think I like for her, I like the fact that she listens to me. She always has listened to me even when we were dating, and that was a big plus to me. Again, we still deal with those type of things or whatever, and but I think for me, the way I went into the marriage, based upon my family, and again, my mom would always tell me, she said, if you ever want to really, really live, make sure your credit is number one. Anything else, you don't have to get the big car, you don't have to get the most expensive car, the most expensive house or anything like that, but make sure your credit is good, because you can always, if you want to buy a house, you can buy a house. If you want to buy a car, you can do that. If you want to go out of town, you can do that. You don't necessarily have to do it, but if that credit is good, life is good, And so that's always been my goal, is to make sure that I get that credit right. So when I went into the relationship, with good credit. Okay.
Hey, okay.
But I say all this to say, I really had to learn to work with her in ways that I've never have had to work with anybody else, and to me, just us dealing with going backwards and forwards, trying to make things happen and stuff like that. It's been a whirlwind. But I can't say, well, yeah, everything was bad. No, it was good, But it's just being able to have those conversations, being able to negotiate, being able to come to a common ground and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. I've never had to deal with that. I was the only child, so I never really had to deal with that. And so coming into it, I had to really, really work for it. Really, really work for it. But again, it's been a roller coaster, but I still love it. I still love it because again, the most important thing is that she was able to listen to me, and believe it or not, that's hard for a lot of couples to do. Really listen to each other.
True that.
Yeah.
True that.
What do you love about your beautiful?
Oh man, you know what? Whenever she talks, it's like, man, I wish I could talk like that. You know what I'm saying? And she don't think nothing of it, but I said, man, she's very tactful in the way she presents that information. I wish I could be that tactful, but I'm not. I really had to learn to do that. And even now, even now when we're in our marriage meetings, a lot of times I can be so passionate about something, and she said, "You sound like you were mad. You sound like you're me." I said, you really should have pulled back a little. I said, baby, do I sound that way? And so I really have to check myself, with a lot of things that I say. My parents, they were more vocal, when they expressed themselves, it was very passionate, but they understood each other. So it wasn't a big deal. And with her and everybody else, I have to say, because they don't know me, they might say, oh, he's a very angry person. He's got issues. But no, I'm just a very passionate person. When I'm talking to you about something, I want you to know, how I think. I want you to know how I feel about certain things. But again, to other people, that can be a problem. One thing, and that's the one thing I've learned from her, is to take some of those tools that she uses on a day-to-day basis and use it for myself. Again, I have to be very intentional when using those tools, but it has taught me to, just kind of take things into a different perspective, and look at myself from the outside. And that's something, I've never had to do. I just said what was on my mind, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But she has taught me to look at things in a different light, And again, if I didn't have her to at least comment on some of those things, I probably wouldn't know to this day, But I love it when she talks. But she don't think.
Even though you say I talk too much sometimes.
I do say you talk a little bit too much, But again, I love it when you talk.
Thank you, babe.
What do you love about your husband?
I love the way he loves his family. I love that, even though it wasn't always the healthiest approach, I love the fact that he tries to keep me from stress and keep me from, the fear of what might happen, right? Yeah, I do. I love that. I love that he has grown to be the husband who recognizes when I've had a hard day and has learned how to respond to that and appropriately. But that's one of the many things that I love about him is just his ability to really be able to provide and respond to the needs of our family. Everything is not always about money. Sometimes it's about communication. It's about noticing that your son came in quiet today and having that conversation without me saying, go talk to your son, or recognizing when your daughter, is a little bit withdrawn and, not always saying, okay, that's your daughter, you go talk to her, He's learned how to respond in those different areas of my life, of our life. And so I really do love that about him. I also love the way that he desires to do better. We've both gone through seasons where we're frustrated and like, well, this is what I do. And this is how I've always done. He's grown past like, you know what, let me learn that this is something that you like. This is important to you. So I'll put a bigger effort in doing that. He doesn't always say it. He just does it. And so I appreciate that about him, and I love that about him. So, again, marriage is a plant, and you have to, you have to nurture it, and sometimes the things that you feed it, it changes. You know, sometimes it just needs water, but sometimes it might need a little bit of, you know, little vitamins. You know, it might need more sun, it might need rainwater. You know, so you have to be able to identify those different things, you know, that we need, and be able to respond. You know, he knows that, you know, food is always gonna be my love language. Mm-hmm. So, you know, here lately I just been kind of down, and he's just like, you want to go get something to eat? You know, I'm like, yeah, let's go get something to eat. You know. So he, you know, but he hasn't always been like that. You know, it's like, maybe it'll be all right, and he roll over, and that's all he has to give. So he's definitely grown in that area, and I recognize that, you know, because I'm a counselor, so I'm like, let's talk about it. Let's just tell me whatever you're feeling. And he's complete opposite. You know, he's like, just sleep, drink some water and lay down, and, you know, go get a Dr. Pepper. It'll be all right, you know. So he's learned how to respond to those things in a more intentional way. And that is, I really do love that about you.
Thank you, baby.
Good.
Y'all got Otis back there crying. They got Otis. You all right, oh? You all right, baby?
Oh my goodness.
Hey, man. Well, hey, that was a beautiful thing, man. Hey, man, such a beautiful couple.
We hope we do.
Yeah, I'm taking it, man.
Talking. Cut out that credit card part.
Hey,
He just gets to going. Hey, you ain't good credit.
oh, no, couple credit. Hey,
Nah, use whatever you will. I just pray it can be a blessing to somebody. Because baby,
It was a blessing to me.
the money can be a struggle.
for sure.
You just have to continue to just want to do better. And when you want to do better, you do better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much, man, for sharing your story, being transparent about what's really popping, man, with the Irvins, and it's good to see that you guys were going through some things financially, but it seems like y'all pretty much kind of has gotten better,
Yes.
kind of on track with, you know, a system that's working
Yeah.
for you guys. So, congratulations to you guys, man, for
Thank
continuing to fight this fight, baby, because we all in it together. You know,
Yeah. It's
especially in the finance area, you know, it's like you said, finance is up and down. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, and we all gonna go through that at some point.
Yeah.
So, so again, man, thank you guys, man.
No, thank you.
Coming
Thank
next.
you.
So, hey, man, yeah. So if you ever been through a financial situation, you and your boo, you know, we've been through it, right? Ups and downs with finances. Put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Hey, while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe, man. Hit the like button, do all that good stuff, share it, tell people about Couples Connect, right? And hey, man, we'll do this again next week, man. So again, this is Couples Connect. I'm your boy Kev. This is
Tanya.
and we out. Peace.